On this episode of Watch Time, we'll be talking with Brandon Bunyak. He's a business banker. We'll be discussing cash flow and why you want to have an expert help you with your finances right after this. Welcome back to Watch Time, everybody. Today we have a special guest, Brandon Bunyak. Brandon is how would you describe your role?
Yeah, so I'm a small business banker.
Okay.
I cover a lot of the west side of Cleveland area, and I work with small businesses of all sizes, whether startup all the way up to established and in the millions in revenue.
Yeah, so Brandon is the guy you want to know when you want to grow your business with any type of loans, or if you're looking for opportunities
Yeah.
to help get additional cash flow, which is what we're going to be talking about today, which is
Yeah.
one of the most important things of business,
Absolutely.
cash flow.
Absolutely.
So if you want, do you want to maybe give us a little bit of your background, how you kind of got into working
Yeah.
in business, banking, and things like that?
Yeah. So I spent about 10 years working in the retail space. I sold cell phones for a very long time for Sprint in Parma.
Okay.
That's where I'm from, so it was kind of cool to start out there.
Yeah.
And I decided, this isn't. I'm not building relationships. This is like turning over clients, and I'm a relationship kind of person. So I was also having my daughter, and I was like, I need a career that I'm happy with, and for future it's good.
Mhm.
So I decided to go into banking, and I started out as a regular personal banker. Worked in that space for about 6 years, and I'm on year 7 now in the business banking space, and I love it. Businesses are the blood of the community, and I'm a very big community person, so for me it was a no-brainer to switch over to business and help out however I could.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I was just at I was telling you earlier, the Greater Cleveland Partnership annual meeting, and they're talking about Cozy Council Smaller Enterprise, and they were discussing how they were saying something like this region, the Greater Cleveland region, it's like I'm probably gonna get the stat wrong, but it's like 97% of the businesses in this region are made up of small businesses, and
Yes.
of those businesses, the small businesses employ over 50% of the people that are
Yeah.
in Northeast Ohio.
Yes.
So business banking, I'm sure, like being a resource to a lot of these small businesses, as well as I'm sure some of the middle market and big businesses,
Absolutely.
is a vital part of what we need to keep the economy moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And then people think of you think of banking, you think of back in the time when, banking
Yeah.
kind of was a sketchy market, right? There's so many more regulations in place to this day that protect you as a consumer, and bankers are really genuinely out there for them to help.
Yeah.
And banks want you to do well as a business,
Mhm.
right? Because if you think of it from their business, they make money if you're making money.
Yeah.
So when you look at like your banker, it's more of a partnership than it is that you're a customer.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know like that's a big thing that you and I know have had a conversation on is as a small business owner, oftentimes I don't really know who my banker is, but there's so much benefit from being able to have a dedicated banker, somebody that you can call and ask questions and get help and assistance from. And
Yes.
highly encourage anyone watching, listening, if you're a small business owner, reach out to your business banker and figure out who that is.
Right.
So I guess jumping in, talking about cash flow here a little bit, and we might have an opportunity to circle back because I am interested to find out as we move forward maybe how some of what you learned at Sprint maybe applied to what you are doing today.
Yeah.
But I know the first question that we really wanted to touch on was going to be, hold on, let me pull this up, is going to be the importance of establishing a relationship with your bank. So I know
Yes.
you kind of touched on this a little bit, talking
Yeah.
about the purpose of the bank, but can you talk about, for small business owners and people out there, why is it important to have a relationship with your banker?
Yeah. So for the longest time, cash is king. It has been a thing. In this day and age, cash is king is no longer valid, right?
Mhm.
Because you can do a lot with cash, but you can't do the important things you need to grow, whether it's personally or in a business aspect.
Mhm.
So when people think, of a bank and thinking cash is king mindsets, you don't really have that relationship. So when it comes down to the time where you need capital, you need um, equipment, you need a building,
Mhm.
whether it's, trying to manage how your money's coming in.
Mhm.
If you don't have a relationship with your bank,
Yeah.
you probably aren't going to get the best advice. right? And you're also might not be able to do certain things because you don't have the relationship with them from like a even like a credit perspective.
Yeah.
So it's important that when you start out a business, or if you're a current business owner and
Mhm.
you do bank with somebody and you don't have a good relationship with that bank, to really reach out to your banker and establish that.
Yeah, I think. Well, and I think what's important there too, in my opinion, and so, and I've mentioned before on this podcast, when I had Amy Mucha on, like we talked about, her and I both went through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and
Yeah.
that program, what I loved about it from a business owner's perspective, and I think you'll appreciate this, is it really preaches the importance of making a relationship with getting a relationship with your bank, your banker, and to stop looking at loans and lines of credit as debt, because that is
Right.
something that I feel like American mindset, personal finance mindset, we think of that as debt, and really their big thing was it's not debt, it's leverage. It's allowing you to leverage those somebody else's money to help you create, build your business or bring in new equipment or
Hmm.
keep yourself moving forward as you're trying to continue to grow. So
Right.
I think that relationship, in my opinion, from what I've learned in that program, was starting with knowing your business banker and
Hmm.
really finding out who that is. So can you talk maybe a little bit about the importance of why you should know your business banker
Yeah.
and what's the benefits?
Yeah. So, just from the relationships standpoint alone, like if you know your business banker, you're meeting with them quarterly. It's kind of like a doctor. If
Hmm.
because you go to your doctor for checkups. You want to check on your health, see how things are going.
Yeah.
Your business banker is kind of like your doctor from your business finance standpoint.
Hmm.
How is my banking going? Is there something I could be doing to save money? Is there something I could do to earn more money?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to them knowing the relationship, if I know that like you don't need equipment,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to talk to you about equipment loans
Yeah.
because I know you don't need it. But if you don't have that relationship, you could waste time, get offered things that might sound good that you don't actually need.
Hmm.
And that's a huge part of that relationship. And then when it goes into growing
Hmm.
and getting that capital, um, having the relationship with your banker, they're your advocate. So
Yeah.
your banker is the advocate between you and the underwriting system,
Hmm.
underwriters that are really looking at, you know, is your credit worthiness
Yeah.
there, and your banker is going to be the one to tell that story for you.
Yeah.
So it's important that regularly talk to your banker, and who knows, there might not be everything every meeting, but when there is, your banker will be able to tell you.
That quarterly meeting, that advice that you guys are giving, is that are there a cost to that? Is that just part of being, you're with the bank? So
No, there should be no cost to
okay.
that, because that's like me as a banker. That is my job.
Yeah.
My job is to be your banker.
Okay.
That's what I get paid for.
Yeah.
So for everyone should be taking that up. And if your business banker doesn't make time to do
Mhm.
that with you, then maybe look at who your business banker is and find one that would.
So with that meeting, I guess, and just this is just for like everyone that's watching, listening, because you got my wheels turning here.
Yeah.
Are these people coming in when they sit down with you? Are they bringing like a profit and loss statement, a cash flow like statement, and like their balance sheet, and kind of sitting down with you, showing you what they have going on, and then kind of talking with you and telling you this is what my goals are, and you're kind of
Yeah.
helping them work backwards from there?
Yeah, all of the above.
Okay.
So when you think of your banker, it's, we're not a CPA, we're
Hmm.
not an attorney,
Yeah.
which again are probably the other two best relationships you can have from a financial aspect.
Hmm.
But outside of those two, we can really go through all of it, go through your profit and loss,
Hmm.
look at your cash flow ratio, see where you're at, see where there's pain points, and not every bank has every product for everything.
Yeah.
And good bankers know that, and good bankers have contacts to other people that do have that for you. So bringing everything to the table is always good,
Yeah.
because another part of it is, we can talk things out, but when it goes to underwriting and they need documents, if we don't see those first before we send it out to them,
Hmm.
you know, there's a chance it can get turned down. But if
Hmm.
I can see it ahead of time and say, hey, wait, this project that we're talking about
Hmm.
doing, maybe we need to wait till we can get this down here.
Yeah.
That saves you time, a credit pool, and so forth.
Okay. Wow. That's yeah. See, and that's one thing that I will say. If you're a small business owner and you're watching this, you're listening to this, I didn't realize this until I got further along in my business, but the relationships you build, like you're saying, like with your accountant, with an attorney, with a bookkeeper, these things that you think you like, I was like, I can do this. I
Hmm.
realized I can't do this. And I feel like from the banking perspective, it's the same thing. Why would you want to go and make these decisions without seeking the advice of somebody who's doing it,
Right.
every day? And I guess that kind of brings me to, the question of just understanding the benefit of using the bank's money over your own money. And I can say from my perspective, like when I started this business,
Hmm.
I very much was like, I'm going to buy all my own equipment. And I did. Bought it outright, a lot of it. Some of it I'd use like PayPal credit, pay it off over time. But
Hmm.
like what I see now further along in my business, and I'm very curious to get your perspective on this, is
Yeah.
I wish I had started off with, as I started growing my income, going and getting a loan for everything, and then keeping that cash in my account and paying that off over time. I just think there's more benefit there. Can you talk a little bit about that and just using the bank's money instead of your own?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of good positives behind that. Like you said, when you first start out, everyone thinks, it's that mindset
Yeah.
of use your money, not the bank's. And when you do that, as you get down the road of starting your business out, or even if you're already established, needing that money for something that isn't in the plan. There's always
Yeah.
things that pop up that aren't in the plan.
Hmm.
And when you use the bank's money, it gives you the security of having your money liquid
Yeah.
for something that comes up. Whether it's you have a storefront and your HVAC goes out, that's expensive.
Yeah.
And do you have that sitting on hand,
Yeah.
right? But if you buy that equipment or start out buying all of your equipment up front,
Yeah.
you won't have that money if that comes up. And I mean, I'd rather pay interest on something
Hmm.
and be able to afford an accident
Yeah.
than not be able to and it crash the entire thing.
Yeah.
And then you also have the aspect of building that relationship with the bank from a lending aspect. So
Hmm.
as you're growing, if you get a bit larger business and
Hmm.
you want to, maybe get into commercial real estate side of things, banks are looking at comparable credit. They want to see, do you have installment loan history? Do you
Hmm.
have revolving credit history? How much of it do you have? How many
Hmm.
lates do you have? The more you can establish in a positive way, the better it is for you down the road.
Yeah, that's really good advice. That's interesting because like I do think like for me, for example, like just with our equipment, like a camera for us is around $3,000 or so. That's for a smaller camera. Some of the bigger ones are six, all the way up into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
Yeah.
I think the thing that I think about and why I feel like what you said is so important is I would rather pay monthly and pay these things down, keep that money in the account, and then have that for my overheads, my payroll, things like that. Because I'm going to have to pay that monthly payment anyways,
Right.
and I'm going to get that money in to pay it back. But it's just something about pushing $4,000 or $5,000 out that you now no longer have. Yeah, that's paid off, but
Hmm.
if you need 2,000 of that back, you can't sell that piece of equipment to get that
No.
back. And I mean, you can, but it's not going to happen like that.
Right.
Whereas, like, if you were just paying, like, say you were able to roll all your equipment into a $250 loan a month or $500 loan like a month that you're paying, then you're able to just pay that off over time, and you get to keep that $5,000.
Right.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's something that is really overlooked often, and
Hmm.
it really comes down to that interest thing. No one wants to pay interest, and I get it. I mean, it's extra money that you're paying, but you know, all entrepreneurs, all business owners know it costs money to make money.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the mindset you have to look at it from an interest standpoint. Don't overstretch yourself.
Yeah.
Don't loan everything out,
Yeah.
right? But if it's like your larger purchases in capital, it's great to do that, and it's even great to do it from a security aspect. Say you're traveling for business and you're swiping a debit card at a
Yeah.
gas pump, you get hacked. Your whole checking account balance is hacked now. You're waiting for the bank to give you back your money. It takes 7 to 10 days to get a credit. How is your business functioning in the
Yeah.
meantime? If you're using a business credit card, if that happens, that's our money,
Yeah.
right? It's not your money that's hacked.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that is like a good way to look at that. I also think about it from at least from us from a renting perspective. I know like if anyone's watching this, if you have to rent equipment, I mean, whether it be video equipment, I mean, I think they even do the same thing with like large equipment. If you have to go to
Oh yeah.
like rent a lift or something like that,
Hmm.
um, if you're not using your credit card, I always use my credit card because if you use your debit card, they go, well, we have to put a hold on it. So if the
Yes.
hold is $1,000 or the price of the item or whatever,
Hmm.
they're going to draw that from your account, And I feel like that's something that, like, so now you have to wait. And then, yeah, to your point, it takes a couple days to come back. Whereas
Hmm.
if they do it from the credit card, they're going to draw it from the credit card, but then, like, it's going to go back before your statement comes out. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
Right.
it makes more sense. And you guys have that money that if something does go wrong, like, say they mess up,
Right.
then it's not like now you're out $1,000, you can't make payroll or something like that. You're,
Yeah, it's pretty much when that stuff happens like that, and it's our money.
yeah.
It's really not like it's you're concerned for the reporting side of it, and then
Mhm.
afterwards, your hands are kind of clean, and it's on us to get our money back.
Yeah, and I think, if you're watching, you're listening, if you're an entrepreneur, this whole thing about um, working with the bank's money and having that interest, it's a risk, but
Hmm.
you're also, if you're a business owner, you're in the business of risk because that's
Correct.
not frivolous risks, but calculated risks, and part of that risk is you may have to pay some interest, but if it's more important for you to pay that interest to keep that cash on hand, to me that's a big, that's just the cost of doing business.
Right.
So I guess going further into entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
I guess how does networking affect the ability of an entrepreneur? Like how does that? How do you
Yeah.
see that? Because I know you're working with so many business owners all the time.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
So, depend it all. Of course, it all depends on what you do.
Yeah.
So, like from my aspect, it's great for me because if I'm working with a roofer,
Yeah.
and I learn about the industry. I'm not a roofer.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about roofing. So when I'm working with them, I learn about it, and then when I talk to the next roofer,
Hmm.
I'm more aware.
Yeah.
Right? You sometimes you meet people and you learn things the hard way because you
Hmm.
made a mistake. And when you're networking out there and you're talking to people, you're the expert in what you do.
Hmm.
Everyone's the expert in what they do. No one's an expert in everything.
Yeah.
So to be able to make connections and learn from people, and then also connect your people that you meet with the other people you meet,
Yeah.
as that's your expert.
Yeah.
Like if I have somebody that needs insurance, I have an insurance agent that's my expert. Like
Yeah.
that's who I send them to because I don't know anything about insurance.
Yeah.
And it's a huge part of networking. And when you think through growing your business, you can meet people in your industry that went through it.
Hmm.
You can meet other new people or someone that's in the same boat as you, that's going through the same hurdles as you, and bounce off of each other.
Hmm.
Networking is a very free resource
Yeah.
that's out there.
Yeah, I think that's great advice too. Like just understanding where the expertise that you have, the people that you've met, and then what you can bring to the table. And I think that's true for anybody that a business is going to work with. I know for us, like my insurance agent, um, I met with a few. The one I ended up going with, I went with him for two things. One is I really liked his attitude. But
Mhm.
the other thing was, as we were talking, I found out that he insured other video production companies. So I was like, oh, so what I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
what I'm gonna talk about, what I need insured, and that's a benefit. And same thing for you. That's a benefit is when you're talking with your banker. You probably worked with so many different businesses. You have at least a overall understanding of what that business is trying to do,
Right.
and I think that's a huge benefit. Um,
Absolutely.
One thing I wanted to do, as we've kind of been going through this, and just so everyone that's watching and listening can kind of take the overall message away, what are the three things about cash flow and business banking that if you wanted our viewers to take away, what are those three things that you think are most important from our conversation?
I think the most important thing would be it would easily be, you're not the experts of everything.
Yeah.
There's an expert for everything.
Hmm.
Lean on those experts that you have.
Hmm.
Like I said about a business, if you have a business banker, lean on that business banker. Um, uh, Business bankers, when it comes to investing capital, any of that stuff, should always be first look or
Hmm.
last look
Yeah.
before you do it. And it's not because you want to let them steal away whatever's going
Yeah.
on. It's because if you have a good relationship with them, they should be able to advise you
Yeah.
more than sell you something.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say would be, establish a network. That's a huge thing,
Hmm.
even from the banking aspect, because, every bank is different. Every bank has pros and every bank has cons.
Hmm.
No bank is the best at everything.
Yeah.
And when you're out networking, you can meet bankers, you can meet CPAs, bookkeepers, attorneys, you can meet marketing. I mean, there's so many other people out there. And, if you're not utilizing free time to be able to build that network up,
Yeah.
And there was a story that someone shared with me at one point of an insurance agent during the Great Depression that never did marketing whatsoever during the whole Great Depression and made millions of dollars during the Great Depression by taking clients and connecting them to other clients for stuff they needed.
Hmm.
And that's how he got word of mouth and referrals. And he was just being a good friend if you really think
Yeah.
about it. So being out there networking and doing it genuinely, I
Hmm.
think is a big part. And then the third piece of it would be, having those quarterly check-ins, whether it's your banker, whether it's your CPA or your lawyer,
Yeah.
treating it like it's your doctor. It's the
Yeah.
health of your business. Your finances are your business. So, reviewing your operating cycle with them, making sure, how does the dollar move through your business?
Hmm.
And is there a way to shorten the time, save money,
Hmm.
or earn money? Those are really big things in business that without the experts, you don't think of all the time.
That's great advice. So, that making sure that you have you're not the expert. So knowing that, getting the experts, building that network, and then having those check-ins, and I think that's huge. And I did want to piggyback off your networking thing. I mean, this isn't
Yes.
a networking masterclass by
No.
any means. Is that meant to be? But I did want to say, like, for anyone out there, like, if you're going to networking, because I see it so often, I'm sure you do too. The purpose of networking is not to go there and then push your business card in somebody's hand and say, "Here, buy from me."
No.
I mean, occasionally you'll go out and maybe you'll connect with, it just happens that I've connected where I've met somebody and they go, actually, I need a video. So this kind of works out for me, or I need photography that works out. But
Right.
a lot of it is just making those connections. When I go into a networking event, my first question to somebody isn't necessarily, hey, do you need any video or do you need this? What do you do with your marketing? My first question is, who is the person that you're trying to find, and
Hmm.
what is a good referral for you, because I'm going to go out and meet other people and I want to make sure that I can pass that information along, because that's the purpose. It's about helping other people
Right.
build their business, and if you do that, people want to help you in return because you're a genuine person, you're helping out.
Exactly.
So don't go out there and be pushing business cards and trying to sell your product to everybody, because not everybody wants it.
Right.
um, this is a great conversation, Brandon. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. If anybody that's watching, listening, if they want to learn more about you, if they just want to connect, like, and maybe just even, connect and maybe ask a question, like, where
Yeah.
can they do that?
Um, Honestly, you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm always on there.
Okay.
I love LinkedIn. It's cool to see other entrepreneurs doing their thing and learning from it too. So reach out to me on there. It's just my name, Brandon Bunyak. You'll see Young Professionals of Parma being part of it on there as well. So you can check out that page and get more information on there too.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll make sure we drop those links in the description for the YouTube video, and I believe in the description for the podcast, so this way
Yeah.
people can connect.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us,
Thanks for
and
having me.
look forward to maybe having you again in the future. We could talk about another banking topic.
Yeah, sounds good. There's tons of topics to talk about. So
Sounds good. Thanks.
yeah.
Thanks for listening to Watch Time. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes.
And if you want your question answered on our podcast, go to flexmediacle.com/watchtime.